Welcome back to the channel, guys. Hope you're doing okay. Galaxa here. So what we're going to be looking at today, very briefly, and not briefly, we're going to be looking at a few bits and pieces in there to do with the Rorqual post Legion update. So a lot of things have changed with the Legion update, as you're probably aware. Now, what I have noticed is some of the Rorqual videos, fittings, guides, how to use them and whatnot are quite out of date. So the Rorqual that I've got is what's called a mining Rorqual, and it's kind of not how you'd think. This is how our alliance, as you can see, I'm in Goons. This is how our alliance would fit what's called a mining Rorqual. You can use it for actual mining with excavators, as I do have them in the ore hold, but I personally don't use the excavators because they are terrible at the minute. They're good if you want to strip a belt and you're not too worried about profitability, and we'll go into that very, very shortly. But they are handy for that purpose. But for now, we're going to look at the fit. Now, this, as I said, is a fit that is supported by our alliance. This is basically, okay, so that figure there may seem quite high, but a Rorqual is a capital ship nonetheless. Now, some of the fits that I've seen on YouTube and whatnot, how to fit them, guides to do them, they're a little bit outdated, especially post-Legion fit. So what we are going to do is quickly, we're going to simulate this Rorqual, and then we will discuss everything. So as you can see, I use mine for boosts predominantly, and I've got the Capital Moon Ore Compressor because I use it to harvest moons, and occasionally I will fit the asteroid ore grade, and we'll come into those very, very shortly, just in case you are new to the Rorqual. So first of all, going over the fit, we have our two boosts for mining, and if or when we get into trouble, and it's when for me because I normally tend to get hot dropped around here, and I have shield command boosts on to make my ship last a fair bit longer. So if I turn that off, you'll see that my tank does reduce a little bit. So if I put that on, boost it up. But when I'm not running, it's not a huge amount, but it can be the difference in saving you or not. So what we first look at is the low slots. So damage could, because when I say we first look at the low slots, I think the low slots are very, very important, depending on how you are going to use your Rorqual. So the low slots, as you can tell, that Rorqual has the most hull out of armor and shield. No matter how you tank this, you are going to get the most hull hit points out of your Rorqual through hull tanking. You can use some extra faction mods. I've just got the very basic few Dead Space mods, faction mods majority. So we have a damage control because without the damage control, you lose 27% of your hull hit resistances, which also drops your hit points by 500,000, which is a phenomenal amount. So if you don't have a damage control, you are absolutely scuppered if you do get dropped. So if the thing is, when you're using a Rorqual, when to use it, when not to use it, and so on, I personally would not use this unless I know I can get back up, because 11 billion is quite a lot to lose in one go. Now, if you don't have the luxury like big alliances do, where you have a support fleet ready to come and help you if you do get in trouble by having a spare ship on grid, which will, if you're mining an anomaly, say an Arcanor deposit, for example, or well, you wouldn't use personally, you just would not touch these with a Rorqual, if I'm honest, but then just a waste of time. But if you've got like a large Noxide deposit or a moon that you're mining, you will always have another character sat about 250 to 300 kilometers away from your Rorqual with a Sinosaural field ready. So when you do need trouble, your alt can light a Sino and you can get in and bring a fleet to you. Now, that doesn't mean you are instantly that does not mean you are going to get saved. There are chances that you could get killed regardless of what you do. And the ways to minimize that as best you can is what we are going to go into right now. But first of all, fitting, as I said. So low slots, you got damage control. I have Caldari Navy power diagnostic systems because if you turn them off, I lose 100,000 hit points, a lot of capacitor, but also 20% power grid, which I need to run all of this. Now the smart bombs are on there. We'll go to high slots now. So I've got, as I said, I've got those mining boosts for when I've got my my hulks out with me, or my machinors, depending on what I'm mining, for obvious reasons to give them boosts. I've got shield boost if I get dropped. Normally I will warp all my hulks and everything out before someone comes into the system. So before someone lands on me and actually gets on top of me, my mining ship's already gone. So it is just the Rorqual in the belt. Also, if someone does come in and I'm in siege, I'm not going anywhere anyway, which brings me to the Capital Industrial Core. So that boosts your mining bonuses. It allows you to compress ore, and it also gives you more DPS on your Rorqual, which you might not need, you might need, it depends. Smart bombs are for getting rid of bubbles that are dropped on you. So from an interdictor, if something bubbles you within 7.5 kilometers, you can smart bomb those bubbles off. And also helps clear small tackle that doesn't have a tank. It is just a tackle ship. And also the most important module on this ship is a pulse activated nexus invulnerability core, also called panic module. So if you are getting dropped, if you are getting tackled and your tank is buckling, you are in hull, you are going to hit that panic module, which will make your ship completely invulnerable unless you've got Cenotaph or Tholos on grid, which I'll go into in a minute. Will make you invulnerable to all damage apart from neuting. You can still be neuted out. You can still be made cap dry whilst in panic. You cannot get any drones out. You cannot use offensive modules. You cannot receive reps, and you cannot give out reps. You can't do anything but sit there and tank. You can still tank. You can still put your your shield boosters and everything back on. But you cannot do receive reps. You cannot put drones out. So you kind of just sat there like for I think the time I have on mine is 5 minutes 36 because I don't have the skill at 5 yet. But the skill at 5 will give you a little bit longer. But I have 5 minutes 36 for a response fleet to get to me and potentially save me. Another thing, if you are mining on a moon or a belt or somewhere like that and you've got asteroids, you always have an asteroid locked up, because to use that module you need to have a asteroid locked, otherwise you can't use it. So when you get dropped by a Black Ops gang, if they have a carrier with them, which will be fitted with a capital micro jump drive, they will boost you off the belt, which will take you 250 kilometers away, which coincides with your max lock range. So if someone is dropping you, if you are getting dropped and you see a carrier on grid, you instantly panic. You do not wait for any damage to come in. You instantly panic. And then you call your friends, call anyone to come and help you, try and help you defend you. You do not wait for you to get boosted off to panic, because you just won't. You won't have anything targeted. So just onto the mid slots then. I am running a dual cap booster setup, because if you're getting neuted out by Black Ops gang, you need to keep your capacitor going. You need to be able to run your capital CONCORD shield booster, but also as a backup, I've got an ancillary capital shield booster with a cargo hold full of cap boosters. So you cram as many cap sticks in there as you physically can to keep funding your shield booster and your capacitor booster. I've got tech ones in there, but I just haven't swapped them out for the navy ones in my cargo at the minute. They've just been in there for months. Also, I have two Pith C-type multi-spectrum shield hardeners. Tech 2 or faction don't quite cut it. You need to have those extra 2 or 3% resistances. 2 or 3% on 133,000 can be an extra few minutes for you to get receive help. And also, as I said, I've got the 2 cap boosters. I've also got a Pith X EM shield hardener because without it, you've got 20 something. Is that 17% less shield hit points, which is basically they're going to shoot right into that EM hole and do a silly amount of damage to you. So make sure you're plugging that EM hole. As for rigs, I've got a capacitor safeguard, operational solidifier, and an ancillary current router, because I need that current router to get everything online, especially as the capital ancillary booster does use a lot of power grid. So that's why I've got all those and the ancillary router, and those are to make my shield tank a lot stronger through cycle time and all that sort of stuff. So let's go on to move on to drones, excavator drones. So this is with the boosts, with the siege module, with the industrial core engaged. So as you can see, they're not that fast. They're a little bit faster than they used to be, but they're not that fast anymore. I mean, if you wanted to make this into a mining rorq, which I'll come back to in a second, you would be getting more ore than that. But as mine is not meant to be predominantly used for using excavators, I don't have any bonuses or anything else apart from my skills to boost that. So what I'll quickly show you now is if I was to put the rigs in. So let's go down here to, where are they? Capital mining drone rigs, capital drone rigs. So yeah, I think you can get 2 T2s on mining augmenter, or can you get 3? No, you can't get 3. They are. You can get 2. Wait, what? Oh yeah. So yeah. So you do that, and then you have one of those ancillary current routers again. Like so. I mean, your CPU is going to be a bit out, but you can probably switch a smart bomb out and, you know, tweak with the fit. But if we now check the excavator drone again, see how that's gone up to 1,285 from 980. So you do get more per drone. So if you're fit like that, you will be able to mine what's that, 6,500 ish cubic meters of ore every 60 seconds, which is nice, which is a good amount. But for survivability, you do not want to do that. For survivability, you want to have tank on. In nullsec, you want to have that on because you're going to be Black Ops, you're going to be boost off, there's going to be, you know, they could even bring dreads, you know, they could bring anything on you. So a Rorqual they are very, very strong in defending themselves. But if you are getting dropped by anything bigger than 10, 15 people, you're going to struggle because they'll defang you and whatnot. So survivability is key, and making your tank last as long as possible is also key. Excuse me. Right. So now that we've looked at the drones, so these drones, as I said, I would use if I'm on a moon and I'm just harvesting R4s. I wouldn't touch R8s or R16s, or definitely not well, I might do R8s, but R16s, R32s and up, I would not use excavators because you get a there we are, 60% chance in waste. So you still get the full mining amount per cycle, but you also get that amount. You've got 60% chance of wasting that as well. So you will get your 972 cubic meters of ore, but you will also lose that in the rock. And that's 60% chance per drone. So you could be dropping thousands of cubic meters of ore out of that rock every 60 seconds by using these. That's why I only use it on the R4s, because they're not valued as anywhere near as much as the other moon goo, or if you want to use it on some rocks, fine. It's but personal choice, personal preference. I don't use them just because of how much wastage there is, unless I'm on a moon. So that's why they're kind of niche at the minute. They're not really widely used. They are used by people that are AFK in a rorq or semi-AFK, keeping an eye on it while, you know, doing something else on another screen or watching films or whatever, because you just want a lazy mind, then fine, yeah. But you are wasting a lot. So if you're not too concerned about max profit, use them. If you are concerned about max profit, drop the excavators, get a couple hulks or macadors, and you're instantly going to be out mining these anyway. So that is the excavator drones, and that is the fit. Now, if you are going to be in a low sec using this, I very much doubt you're going to be using one of these unless you've got friends nearby that can back you up in case of a snuff dread bomb, or, you know, any of the low sec groups that live around low sec. As soon as someone spots a Rorqual on a moon, it's probably going to get hunted and get dropped. So low sec is kind of not really useful for this, but they do get used, but they are normally used by people that've got cover waiting to get in and drop on people that are attacking the Rorqual. Now, with the Rorqual, there are other options. So you can drop some of the shield tank. You can go max buffer. So I'm not going to strip the entire fit. We're going to look at hull tanking Rorqual. So if you want to hull tank a Rorqual, first of all, do that. First of all, you are going to want to get a damage control. You're going to want to get a decent one. So we'll go for a sentient damage control to start with. Ignore the power grid and all that. That's going to go way up at the minute. We're just looking at the raw numbers. So reinforced bulkheads. So, and you're also obviously going to be doing, reinforced. Yeah, we'll go with these. So if you are hull tanking it for max tank, you're going to be getting near. You've obviously got a lot more effective hit points. You're probably going to drop some of this and have a basic buffer tank on there. But this kind of would delay people a lot more chewing through there, because they may chew through the shields pretty quickly, but chewing through a Rorqu's hull is quite difficult. And that can actually give you an extra few minutes, a good few minutes to get saved, especially if you're using it in low sec, where your help is not exactly nearby, but they are not too far away, or you might need to scramble and find someone to help you. So it'll give that much hit points is a lot to chew through. Even with the cenotaph and whatnot that does dot damage, which is also can damage you through panic module, which we'll go into in a second. But a hull tank Rorqual is quite something to chew through. As you can see, we've probably got we've got an extra 1,000,000 hit points just by doing a hull tank. So if you haven't got help nearby, or you haven't got an alliance cover fleet, for example, I would highly recommend a hull tanked Rorq for doing this, and just fit max tank. So you can even fit bulkheads on here if you really wanted to get an absolutely insane tank on there. So as for the high slots, you're probably not really going to change these much. You're going to want boosts to boost your fleet. You're going to want shield tanks, so you're going to want that. This is something you can switch out, and the Rorqual and the Orca are the only things that can fit Macoxic compression on. I would not recommend using an Orca anywhere in high sec that's out in space, in high sec, in null sec or low sec, because it has 0 defensibility and it will just get absolutely destroyed so quickly. They're just slow and they're not really worth using. So I wouldn't use an Orca in low sec or null sec. You're just going to get destroyed. A Rorqual, though, can fit the Capacitor Macoxic compressor, which reduces it down to next to nothing, no weight. You've got the moon compressor, and you've got the asteroid compressor and the ice compressor. So that is interswitchable depending on what you want to use. So it is kind of a multi-tool sort of thing when it comes to what you can mine. So that wouldn't change really. Smart bombs, you might change them out for something. It depends on your situation and what you want to use. And the panic module is an absolute must if you are using a Rorq in a belt. It is an absolute must. I mean, I don't think a Rorq would go anywhere else apart from belt unless it's being used in a combat role, like a meme. If you're dropping on something and you want to meme it, so you drop a combat fit Rorq. Which, if you want, I could do another video on a combat fit Rorq. Just let me know down in the comments if you do want to see a combat fit Rorq. But also you can use them as suitcases, which is commonly used because you can get quite a big fleet hangar and cargo hold combined. You can get it's like a poor man's jump freighter, essentially, because the jump freighter is about 12, 13, 14 billion. I'm not sure on prices lately. I haven't bought one in a while. But you can get quite a hefty cargo hold on a Rorqual, which is nice if you can't quite afford a jump freighter or don't want to skill into it, for example. Now, very briefly, we're just going to look at ice excavators. So if I get if I go here, drones, we're going to get some mining drones. We're going to go for the excavator ice harvesting drone. Now, these things are pretty gnarly when it comes to ice harvesting. I just need to drop them out. Bob that in. So these are very, very good for mining. These will outmine your Hulks, your Machinors, and everything like that. These will outmine them. Like if the Rorqual is still king of ice mining. There's no substitute for it at the minute because it's got 22.4 second cycle time. Still got the chance of waste on which is not ideal. But you're going to be pulling 5 blocks of ice every 20 seconds, and I'm sure that would go up if you did increase these. So you know what, we're going to have a quick look at that, see if that does go up. So let's drop these, go down to the drone rigs again, capital drone mining augmenter, show info on that again. Yeah, so down to 16 seconds, but you're going to get 1 block of ice every 16 seconds. So what's that? Probably at least three blocks of ice per excavator a minute. So you talk, if you've got 5 out, that's 15 blocks of ice a minute. it's pretty insane how much you can extract, and that's why these are used predominantly for ice mining. And the Rorqual is a very, very good ship. Now, with the updates, with more mining sites becoming more available, and you know, more usage for them, because over the last 6 months, year, they haven't really been used that much, purely because it's not really been many mining sites worth it. But with all these new mining changes coming, that's been coming over the last few months, more and more of them are starting to come out in space. I think Goons as a, or the Imperium as a whole, I think we lost like 100 rorks the other month, just for people. So there's that many of them out in space now. But the Rorqual is a very, very good, very, very, very good ship for mining. It is basically like the platform for mining operations, which I think it says in its description. I haven't pulled that from there. Also, one thing I do want to throw in quickly to counter a drop. So if you're getting dropped by a carrier and it's about to boost you, so in my rorks, I have an Arrayus fit, and it's got a scram on it. So if I see a Sino go up, one of my mining characters will store the Hulk in there, jump into that, and as soon as the carrier lands on grid, I will as soon as it starts boosting, I will either scram the carrier or I'll scram the Rorqual to stop it being boosted. That cancels that out, and then you've got even more time to get safe, basically. So that's one thing you can do to counter booshes, to counter being boosted off a belt. So with the Rorqual, then there's a lot of usage for it. Obviously, a lot of ice harvesting goes on with the Rorqual. They are a very, very good ship, and I'm glad to see that they are now getting used a little bit more in space. There's more of them out and about, which is always good for the game, and them dying is also very good for the game. It funds industrialists in an alliance, industrialists that make these ships. It makes it worthwhile. Now, one thing I do want to come back to, I did say I'll come back to it, is the Cenotaph and the Tholos. So I know I said that with the pulse activated panic module, if that is online, you can't receive any normal damage. That is true. That is completely true. You can be neutered, so you can be made cap dry, which, you know, that's not good. But the Scarab launchers, they can still do damage through panic. So they do, I think it's capped at 3000 DPS on the Cenotaph with max skills. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I haven't got one myself and I haven't used them yet. But a 3000 DPS on your hull, which would give you, what, 375,000 raw hull. So yeah, by the time you're out of panic, if they've got Cenotaph on grid and still hitting you and no one saved you, there's a good chance that they are going to get near enough all the way through your hull by the time a fleet arrives. So the Scarab launcher can damage you through panic. It does not matter if you're in panic or not. It will go straight through hull and it will still damage you. I did question this at first if that was an intended feature, but it is, and you know what? Fine. It gives that ship a niche area on where to be used, especially in Black Ops fleets. But that is all for now, guys. I hope you found this interesting, informative. If you have, let me know in the comments below. I have been very quiet on uploads lately. I've change of jobs, change of circumstances. Lots of things have changed in my life. But I am going to start coming back to doing uploads. And also, I have started streaming on Twitch again, which is twitch.tv/Galaxia_. I have been doing a bit of Eve, some Abyssals, some Thunderchild ratting, some PvP. So if you get bored on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays if I'm free, stop by and it'll be great to see you. That'll be, I think it's about 17 to 1800 Eve time, depending on how busy my day's been that day. But around that, no, I'm wrong. It's 18 to 1900 Eve time. My bad. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you are new to the channel, a like would be really appreciated to help the algorithm. Also, subscribe. If you're subscribe is free, and it also allows you to get notified when I upload next. And also, you can have a look at my back catalogue of some PvP videos, some update videos. Some of those ones are going to be wildly out of date now, but I hope you have enjoyed this, guys. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you at the live stream. But if not, I'll see you on the next video. Take care.